Katie Bowen, Senior Vice President of Global Revenue for SYNAC. It's great to see you again. Thanks for joining me. What are you seeing organizations doing in government that are using automation in the DevSecOps environment to its fullest potential?
Yeah, great question. In enterprise DevSecOps, you often hear folks talk about the golden path. And that path is the enterprise-approved way to get software to production quickly. And you might have some variations on that path, just based on the criticality or security concerns regarding that system or application. But ultimately, the organizations that are succeeding is removing humans from the loop to the maximum extent possible, really to reach that pipe dream, pun intended, of continuous deployment, not just continuous delivery. Mm-hmm. And so the folks that are integrating a security testing fabric into that software development lifecycle are the folks that are seeing what is previously a human-led aspect of pen testing or other security testing to be happening faster and more on demand with that previously human-led approach. Mm-hmm. So that's one example.
Continuous deployment is a term that I don't hear very often. Continuous delivery, yes, all the time. Continuous deployment is different in what way, in your view?
There's very little human interaction to that software getting to production. So the developer says, push to prod, and it happens, the container is configured, everything happens on the fly, and all of those checks and balances are met in order to get that software to production. So one example might be Amazon. Not only are they doing all sorts of A/B testing on us every day, depending on where we are in the country or what type of customer we are, but they're updating the interface that we see every day on Amazon.com, thousands of times a day. Mm-hmm. So that's one example of continuous deployment.
What do agencies and government need to do to prepare themselves to be able to deliver in that kind of an environment? Or can you just kind of flip the switch and go?
Yeah, there's some discussion about there will always be a human in the loop, especially for those externally facing applications that are so mission critical. Or that you are in the hands of users in a big way or somehow in the kill chain or something like that. But I think the more you think about cycle time and developer experience and how you're really getting your users the software they need, you start to think differently about that software supply chain and that time to deployment, mm-hmm. really.
When you think differently about that software chain, what are the components of it that you would advise people to focus on if they're really trying to move the needle on what you've described?
Yeah, I think it's important to always be mapping your path to production, talking to the organization, really understanding what bottlenecks they're facing. If they're using a sprint cycle or any sort of development cycle, that's great. But if it takes from time to code complete to get to production, 20, 30 days, and there's a whole bunch of testing that goes on in that process, it's really hard for developers to remember what they did when they get that application component returned to them to fix, mm-hmm. or patch. So we want to look at those human access points, what the bottlenecks are. It's just like manufacturing to some extent, right? And then start attacking those in a way that's meaningful and enterprise scalable.
Are those bottlenecks common? Do you see the same ones over and over again, or does it vary depending on the type of application being developed, the organization, the mission that they're trying to deliver for, any of those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think we see snowflake paths develop because of all those special things. But really, the goal is to get to, 3 to 6 different paths to production that maybe have different security requirements based on whether it's a crown jewel application or system or an externally facing or there's transaction components to it. But the reason I joined SYNAC is pen testing was always kind of that black hole in that process. So when an app was deemed required or a change was big enough to require pen testing and human-led pen testing, it would be a 2-week to 1-month process or bottleneck, if you will. So what we've done at SYNAC is we've put hooks into Git with some SDLC integrations or any CI/CD platform that you can actually notify researchers to attack or pen test that application change or component And so that makes it on demand, always on, and continuous testing, which is really important in a continuous monitoring environment as well.
What should people in organizations in government that are involved in this stuff be thinking about today that maybe it's not on their radar screen now, isn't a concern today, but it's over the horizon that they should be prepping for today?
Yeah, when we think about automating, I mean, there's all sorts of co-pilots out there today that are supporting developers and supporting all parts of the software development lifecycle. I think we're going to see a revolution in the DaaS market with agentic AI. So, really thinking about how how the implications of co-pilots are going to potentially continue to create more vulnerabilities in that software development lifecycle. So it really just makes testing in pre-production even more important, as well as in post-production, and always thinking about your security posture and the vulnerabilities that you could be creating over and over again if you're not careful.
Katie, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.